So that was City Connection. Oh boy, I didn't like that. Oh wow,
Yeah.
that was definitely a stinker. Okay, let's unpack this though. Let's not just say this sucks. Move on. Let's unpack this. Yeah. So first of all, the goal is kind of unclear. You can kind of go multiple directions, but like
Mhm.
it's tied to like your oil, and you can also throw paint cans. I mean, once we got it enough times, we were able to kind of sort of get where the game was coming from. But excluding that, I think the overall gameplay is just not good. And the reason for that is because, like, first off, like you mentioned and I mentioned, your jump has to come out earlier than you would expect it to. And you could argue that's like a design of the game thing, but it doesn't feel right, honestly. Like you'll figure it out and then start being able to do it consistently, but it doesn't feel right to jump in this game. And like with the way this game is, like you're like driving and jumping vehicular platforming. I like the concept, by the way. I like the idea of like you're in a car, but you're like it's a platformer still, but it doesn't feel good. And then you're driving, and then you have very little time to react to what's in front of you or what's behind you or whatnot, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Where it gets bad though is because hang on, when did you say this game came out? 88. Oh wow. Anyway, but regardless, like the way the game itself was designed, where enemies can just spawn where you happen to be, therefore you can't predict them. That's trash. I don't like. That's not good. Like if you can't, like it's one thing to like give you like a split second way to like dodge, to give you opportunity to dodge, and then it's just like it's a reflex thing. Game's meant to be hard, whatever. But if you're just driving, jumping, and then enemy just spawns in where you happen to be, that's not good. And then yeah, like also if enemies just kind of come onto each other, then one will appear. You think you're going one, and then another one just like comes out of the shadows. It's like whoop, that's where you are. It's like that's not good. like like a lot of it is just because it's an old game and its limitations. But we've seen so many other NES games, embrace its limitations and still manage to have like consistent gameplay. And this one, it feels buggy. Like it's hard, weird to say that about an NES game, but it just feels buggy just for that reason. What do you think? Tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, like a lot of the things like you mentioned, it feels. No, I think it was ported from the arcade, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it might have been like maybe not a lazy port, but maybe like, oh, let's just put on the NES, it'll make money or whatever. Because you're right, like a lot of things feel like they just pop out of nowhere. Like the game's not really fair, and I feel like it's also just difficult for the sake of being difficult for people to pay more quarters for at the arcade or whatever.
Right.
I don't know why, because like the game's not really fun to play. Like you mentioned, it's not like
Not
one
fun.
of those things where it's challenging but it's rewarding, or it's like it feels really good to play like a like a game like Shovel Knight or like something like that.
Yeah.
I do like the box. I do like the box art. I can say that's good thing I can say about the
yeah,
game.
no, I agree.
It's
The
very
box art looks very
cartoony.
nice.
I like the design of the car. It reminds me of like Mega Man.
Mm-hmm.
The 3D Mega Man game. What's it called for the PlayStation?
Mega Man
Mega
Legends.
Man Adventures. Mega Man Legends. Yeah, it just has like that to me. I don't know why. It's that something about that car. Yeah, I don't know. It's not that great.
It's not, and
I agree with everything you said.
I do wonder how I will actually do some research on how like the arcade port looks, because now I'm curious. Like I'm wondering if it like the core gameplay itself just wasn't that entertaining to me, but I'm wondering if the arcade version, at least like for what it was, just at least plays better, because if so,
Yeah.
then maybe that'd be the way to go. But the thing is of course being an arcade game, I don't know if it ever got ported. Arcade games are tricky because if they never got ported, then you're fucked basically. Yeah, so you'd have to find a cabinet, which I'm sure is basically doesn't exist anymore, except maybe in like the cellars of a collector or something like that. But yeah,
When you have games like Super Mario, when you have games like Mario Brothers 3 on the NES, and then this, it's like we can't. There's no excuses. Like
no, exactly,
that game was
exactly.
developed by Nintendo, and it wasn't it wasn't an arcade game at first, but maybe that's probably why it's a good game now, even today.
Right.
But yeah, this game doesn't really hold up.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely say it. Yeah, City Connection does not hold up. Like let's make that statement definitely does not hold up. And yeah, there's so many other NES games like you said that like, even ones that I didn't hear about, like I mentioned to you while we were getting ready to start Scat. That I'm sorry, I went the wrong way.
Yeah.
That Vice Project Doom, despite it being a game I have legitimately never heard of, I had so much fun that I actually cared to play more. And another one, look at this one right here. This one is called Journey to Silius. It's a very,
Oh,
it's
that
a,
game looks cool.
it is. It actually is. But here's the thing. It's inspired by Mega Man, or at least I feel like gameplay wise it is. But it's really hard. And in fact, it's so hard that after that stream, I found myself wondering, why isn't this game being talked about in terms of difficulty the same way games like Ninja Gaiden or Ghosts and Goblins is being talked about? Because that's what it really felt like. Journey to Silly just feels like a really hard Mega Man in many ways. Like with the way, and just no one talks about
Mega
it.
Man's already
What's that?
Mega Man's already pretty challenging, at least like the early ones.
Sure, like Mega Man games have their challenge, but they're still pretty fair. This one, it borders on being unfair, if I'm being perfectly honest, but I still would consider it so. But yeah, all that to say, we're kind of deviating from the point, but that's to say that even if you're going beyond the NES games that everyone knows, like your Mario or your Zelda or your Metroid, and you go to some of these other like third party games, you'll still find some quality. But I really can't put City Connection among them. It just was not fun. Like I came out of it just like I don't want to touch this game ever again. Like I'm glad I did this episode to confirm in my life that City Connection is a game I don't need ever again.
Same, yeah.
Oh man, it's a rare L for like, I gotta be honest. Like, I've been going through a lot of these NES games. Very few of them have been a definitive doesn't hold up. Like, very few of them. A few of them kind of fall in the same line of Scat, where they kind of hold up, but there's just one thing that's like kind of keeping it from like really going up there. A bunch of definitely holds up. Yeah, this is a definitive not hold up. Oh boy. Much like we said, pro wrestling didn't really hold up, right? Then we kind of came to that consensus.
Oh man, pro wrestling. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one wasn't compared to Punch Out, which is what we played. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Next to it, right? Yeah, it's just not. Yeah, not good.
Yeah, it's not good. And City Connection is worse. Well.
Yeah, I can agree.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. It is what it is. That's it's a loss for City Connection. Sorry, City Connection fans, if you exist. But yeah, that's gonna do it for tonight's episode, people. So
we're gonna get emails
about. Oh man, hold on 1 second.
I'm ready for the DMs about our attack on City Connection.
Attack on City Connection. That would be a cool little title too. Like, if this game got like a
attack
modern
on City Connection.
If this game had like a modern report move that was actually fun, called Attack on City Connection.
That sounds really cool.
It does. That's why. Oh man, I am curious about this plot though. I did think the plot was cute. At least I would like to. If someone actually bothered to finish this game, I'll go find an ending online, see how it turned out for Clarice. I actually thought that connection was cute.
Cool premise.
It is a cool premise.